Hello, we're listening. We're listening to some songs today. I'm Kay. We've got Alexis and Jesse. Make sure to tune in for their songs too. If you are watching us on YouTube, those will be out in sometime in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for those. I've got some visitors with me. Another cat just popped up. A dog in a pile behind me, so if you see me getting distracted, it's because I'm being crawled all over by a zoo. Anyway, I'm bringing a song today. Today I bring us back to a familiar topic we've talked about in season 1 quite a lot, and that is K-pop star. And I was first introduced to the artist I'm sharing today, Shin Ji Hoon, when she appeared on the second season of the show in 2012 at only 14 years old. She was actually eliminated for the show before the top 10, which is the live rounds, but was brought back when another contestant dropped out unexpectedly. So despite the pressure of the unexpected save and the challenge of simultaneously balancing her career as an award-winning figure skater, she made it to the top 6 of the competition before being eliminated. I lost track of her after watching that, but I found her again on the Idol re-debuting show The Unit, in which she made it to the finals but didn't make it to the final group. Still, it wasn't until this time last year, with the release of her full first album, that I fully fell in love with her voice and style. The album, titled Stars and Memory and Poetry, is, to me, a collection of pure warmth. Some songs are the sun on your face on a spring day, others are a mug of tea on a chilly night. All of them make me feel like I'm wrapped in a blanket of Ji Hoon's voice, aware of the pain in the world, but somehow safe from it. And writing this intro, I feel so much like I sound like Alexis. So, cool. The song I'm sharing today is my absolute favorite off the album, and I just cannot get enough of it. The title is The Deep Sea, and while I don't have a great translation, I think I was able to piece together an understanding using Google Translate. The song is about struggling to accept love and uses the deep sea as a descriptor for loneliness or depression or just not feeling very confident or in love with yourself. But truly, I think Ji Hoon's voice holds on its own even without a great lyrical understanding. Let's listen to The Deep Sea from Shin Ji Hoon's May 2022 album, Stars and Memory and Poetry.
너와 함께 걷는 길 위에 밤이 내려오면 우리 이제 잡았던 손을 놓아요. 어렵게 인사를 건네고 돌아선 걸음은 잊었던 외로움으로 날 이끌어요. 너가 나를
Welcome back. Alexis, you all right?
Oh boy, that got really emotional at the end.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
it does that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first listen that I had, it was without the lyrics, so I was just kind of taking it in,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the music and the vibe, and yeah, with the context of the lyrics, even if it's just like a vague understanding of what it might be portraying, it's still uh, poetically beautiful and really powerful, and it like completely just changed my like whole perception of that final part because it sounded so euphoric and dreamy when you get to that explosion of just emotion at the end with the way that um her voice opens up because she has like um this very sort of unique tone that she sings for most of the song, and near the end like it just opens up in this really sharp and resonant way, um that I felt kind of like a release when I first heard the song, and then like tying the lyrics to it, I was just like, wow, like what she's saying or what we think she's saying, it's like so profoundly, I don't know, kind of like sad in a way. The lyrics, just so we can, um, look at them together. The last part, it says, "The day I sank into the deep, deep abyss, always hug me in my heart. Unfinished edges towards me." It's just like such a such beautiful imagery. It's so powerful and so emotive. It really changes that section to me. So like when we got there just now, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that because my first listen was more uh, just more me kind of just like thinking of like what this might be, but now that there's less ambiguity here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's powerful.
And I will say that the lyrics that you read off are Google translated
Yeah.
line by line, and so it doesn't read full things as
Right.
sentences when they should be.
Right.
So reading it as a sentence, but also Google translating for the sake of the listeners translates to "hug me forever as I sink into the deep, deep sea,"
Yeah.
which is kind of equally
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Aw.
I, I skimmed the lyric translation when I was listening to it, and I wasn't really actively thinking about it on our last listen through during the show, but I did like get mentally distracted and start thinking sad thoughts in the middle. So
Uh-huh.
I guess it was working.
Uh-huh.
Um, Talking about her tone, like Alexis brought up, I think it's really interesting that she is so young because I had in my notes that she sounds like
She's not anymore.
oh
She was 14 in 2012.
oh
Okay.
But I will
never
say she
mind
sounds very similar now. Yeah, so she's about
okay
25 now.
because I had like youthful in my notes for like her
Mhm.
tone, like breathy, and she also reminds me kind of like Dawan from Night of Sokyo
Mhm.
in terms of her vocal quality is a good thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the vocals definitely stood out to me on first listening as just as a new listener to her music. Um, Her vocal tone definitely stood out to me, and um, I feel like the the color of her voice. I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar, whether in the audience or between you and Kay and Jesse. But her voice reminded me of another singer. To me, in particular, um, maybe the comparison isn't accurate, but to me, like, are either of you familiar with a singer called Uhyo? No.
No.
Spell it?
Uh, Ohyo.
Yes, love her.
Okay. Yeah,
And
like
yeah, I think I hear that too.
like the color of her voice, I would say kind of familiar, kind of similar, but also kind of like just the way that uh Uhyo also makes music kind of similar in this really kind of dreamy sort of way.
Mhm.
Um I felt like there was a bit of a similarity there. So I felt when I was listening to Ji Hoon, I felt like I was invited in a way to something familiar. And then when things went in directions that I was not expecting and just very um, unique to Ji Hoon herself, I think that's like what made this experience very, very powerful for me. So I think the thing I'm trying to say here is that's really cool is like I think people who might find something similar here can experience something that is familiar, but also something that is very unique at the same time. Um, so I think that's also really, really cool if you do decide to really dive into her music.
I definitely think that that like mumbly kind of sound that Jihoon uses a lot, especially in the first chunk of the song, like the
Mm.
major chunk of the song, is something that I find in more K indie than I do
Mm-hmm.
anywhere else, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really love it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Uhyo is a good example of that
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, it's not quite, it's like taking the cutesy voice, but kind of using a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
the cutesy pronunciation, but
Mm-hmm.
using it with somebody's regular voice. I don't know how to
Right.
describe it.
Yeah.
But I do really enjoy it, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you heard that here.
Yeah.
Can I talk about my favorite parts when she uses her voice?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So like my first favorite part, not my most favorite, but my first, the first one that appears, is that really raspy bit in the chorus
Mm.
on the word that Google says translate to invisible, and I'd have to figure out what that word is. But there's one moment, she goes Urichi, and there's like this rasp at the end of
Mm.
that, and the da 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 part,
Mm.
and like every time that just like
Mm-hmm.
rips my heart out.
Mm.
And then there's one word in the second verse that she sings out of tune. It's just a
Mm.
tiny bit out of tune, and it's the last word of the second verse, and it's the word
Mm.
mola, which means I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense to be this like it's become a
Mm.
question, or she's unsure of it. She's unsure of the pitch. I didn't
Right.
actually know the translation of the lyrics at all until literally last night when I was trying
Right.
to put them together for you all. But those two moments have always stuck out for me as something that I can just kind of grab onto in this song that has like
Mm-hmm.
this steady rhythm going, and there's a lot of steadiness in this
Mm-hmm.
song. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like those moments of things that feel unsure or volatile are really what make this song so special to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the instrumentals are like you said, like a very steady groove. Um, there's really not a lot of like tricks or gimmicks going on. It's like a very standard live band sort of recording, where I would imagine any live performance would be like very similar, except for maybe she would need other people to do backing vocals if she had any,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just re-recording herself. But it was, yeah, it's like I think that steadiness, that like non-distracting instrumental like allows for more nuance to be heard in her vocals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if we can dig into the meaning a little bit with that, I think it's really interesting because to me, this song is sort of about having like a steady presence. Like that's that ending line, right? Hug me forever. Like of having this steady rock to rely on, but being unsteady yourself or unstable yourself. So having her vocals stand out so much and have a little bit more flavor, whereas the instrumental feels very like a rock that you can depend on, makes it interesting to me. Alexis, you good? You with us?
Yeah.
Okay, you look distracted.
Now I was trying to call back to something mentally with her voice because I remember listening to the song and there was a recurring thing that I was noticing that I wrote down as I found that there was these very cool and fascinating choices for the vocal layering,
Mm.
but I got so wrapped up in the emotions this time around that I completely forgot uh, to pay attention to that detail this time around. So I was trying to remember, like, wait, what about it was very fascinating? I I just remember uh the way that she overdubbed different parts. Something about it just stood out to me
I
that
have
felt
similar notes from when I
yeah.
listened that like on the choruses, the doubling and the reverb was very present.
Mm-hmm.
To like kind of add a little extra like shine or like highlighting to the qualities of her voice.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't overboard. It wasn't like beating you over the head with it. It was just like, oh, she's here. Like this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing to focus on. And then starting in the second verse, they start adding backing harmonies with herself in like stereo
Yeah.
and but the harmonies are very very subtle. They're not like really strong chord harmonies. They're
Right.
just like
Mm-hmm.
like it's there if you're
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah.
It's like adding a little finishing touch more than it is a feature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've tried to figure out who produced the song. I think it was Spotify that said it attributed it entirely to her.
Mm.
I'm not entirely sure if that's correct. She, I think, has her own company at this point. I think she's fully independent. And so she doesn't have the backing of an agency or anything. And I think this album was put out when she was fully independent. And I was pretty sure she left her agency right after the unit. So I think she's been that way since. But she's just putting out really quality stuff. I mean, this whole album is just gorgeous and beautiful. And it doesn't all have this like rhythmic component that I think this song does. But it's all just so clean and well done and interesting. And it feels like the things that aren't clean and perfect were chosen intentionally. So she's doing that herself. Like, I'm super impressed.
Mm-hmm.
But she has been in the industry for 10 years since she was
Yeah.
14. So
I was about to say that is extra impressive for someone who used to be 14.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And is a figure skater, I guess.
Yeah, super talented.
She has like you go to her Wikipedia page and it has more awards about her figure skating than it does about her music. It's so bizarre. I mean, it's not bizarre. Good for her for being multi-talented, but
I bet there are figure skating people who are like, it's so bizarre that she does music too.
Yeah.
I don't think she's still active as a figure skater. I feel like the last competition that seems to be attributed to her was like 2013. I don't know if that's just the last time people updated it, or if that's actually true. So, yeah, I just love this song. I love the melody of the chorus, I think, especially, even beyond just the delivery. It's just so engaging.
Yeah, I think to me, since this is literally my only experience with her music so far, it has me really interested to listen to the rest of the album to see where exactly this fits, because just taking this song in isolation, it strongly gives me like this sort of like end of an album sort of vibe.
It's mid. It's number 5.
Yeah, and I looked at the track listing. I was like, it's in the middle, so I'm like, I'm really interested to see what the rest of the album is before and after, because like this feels so just in isolation. It feels so like a finale in a way. That how does she use this as like the stepping stone to continue the pacing of the album? Because if this just on itself sounds like the ending, but it isn't the ending because we know that it's in the middle, it's like, how does it springboard to the next thing, and the pacing not feel wonky or something like that? And I would imagine it doesn't feel wonky. I'm just noting in my feeling of like, I'm really interested to see how does that execution pay off, because it does feel like a finale in a way. And are the other sounds that she has on this album equally as dreamy, or does she have like really upbeat stuff, things like that? Like I'm really curious to see like, how does this album flow from start to end?
Spoiler alert, I think this is the most upbeat song on the album. You'll have to check me on that, but it is a lot of slow songs and ballads. This is like one of my go-to gardening albums. All my favorite albums
Sad
that I like in their
gardening.
entirety, I listen to when I'm gardening. I don't know, it just works for me. Yeah, this is like one of my favorite gardening albums, and so I'm only half paying attention when I'm listening to the whole thing, but I think this this is one of the higher points. She doesn't
Wow.
have a lot
Okay.
of upbeat poppy songs, especially that she's released in recent years.
Hmm.
She did just have a release, and now I've forgotten the name of it. That is also like another sort of mid-tempo to low-tempo ballad,
Mm.
not ballad like ballad, but slower song. It's
Yeah.
probably the right word. But
Yeah.
it's all beautiful.
Hmm.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Which I
Anything
think
else?
would
Yeah.
be really cool to have that sort of package, because I think like not everything needs to follow a traditional album arc in a way.
Mhm.
You could definitely deviate from that. But another little interesting thing about the song that has me interested to see like the direction of the pacing of the album is just the end of this song. The end of the song just kind of feels inconclusive to me. Like it just drifts away in a way. Um, and now that I know like the outro lyrics, it almost feels like the music itself kind of like reflects what we're getting lyrically. Because it almost feels like the character that's in the song is almost describing this feeling of drifting away themselves. And so the song kind of just feels like it's fading rather than giving us a conclusive ending. And perhaps that not only works in a isolated moment where how it works for the song with the lyrics, but also the fact that this song doesn't give us like a conclusive kind of like ending helps it fade into the next song as well.
Mm.
So yeah, I thought that was also really interesting, that choice to not give us like a really conclusive ending. I think it both helps the song because of the way it reflects the lyrics, but also what it might help with the next track.
You'll have to listen and find out because I don't remember right now.
Yeah.
The next track is called To the One Left Behind.
Oh.
So I feel like we're not
Ooh.
going up from here.
Right.
Seems like a two-parter though, like with this
Mhm.
song and then that one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think sonically they sound like a two-parter, but maybe
Mm.
meaning. So this is the first time I've dug into any of the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's a mystery to me. I'm
Mhm.
normally gardening and crying at the same time. Now that you say it, Jesse, I think I do sad garden a lot. That's my outlet.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Liked it.
I don't think I really have anything else to say other than this time around on the second verse. I don't know if y'all picked up on it, but there's like this very, very, very quiet guitar layer happening. It's like kind of like a muted guitar doing like
There's
single
like a
notes.
bass line added too, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bass line is more prominent and also
Mhm.
very I don't want to say groovy,
It's a
but
little
it's
funky.
yeah, it's a little funky, and I was like, whoa, this bass is really cool. But there's also like some guitar that's just like super submerged in the deep sea. And I just wanted to highlight that just so that every aspect of the song gets some shine, because I didn't want that to go unnoticed, because I feel like it's really, really hard to pick it out. And it's not doing anything too particularly flashy or noteworthy. It's there for like the added texture. It's
one.
there for the added texture. And also just the fact that it's doing something particular with the guitar, and that it's not just like guitar chords or doing like a melody line. Like it's deliberately muted, so the notes sound kind of stiff and muted. And I feel like bringing some shine to that choice. I wanted to at least give it some spotlight, because I thought it was really cool.
It was really cool. Cool. Well, thank you for listening to this to me. I will say I listened to this, came out last year, and absolutely loved it. And I shared it with so many people, and I just got silence back from everyone.
Oh,
So
no.
I'm really glad you all were more enthusiastic about it. No shame
Mm-hmm.
to the people who didn't respond. Maybe they were too busy to listen, to enjoy it. Maybe
Mhm.
they just didn't like it. I don't know. Thank you for listening to it with me today.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, like I did like take a look at the other stuff that she's released, only taken a look. I haven't listened to
Mm.
anything else. I took a look and I was like, whoa, like she's definitely pretty active, and
Mhm.
I love the cohesiveness between all these projects where they're all like, you know, this photo is a memory, or this poem is a song or something. Like there's this recurring kind of way that um, she presents the music or writes about music, um, that has me extremely excited to take a deep dive into her music. I'm definitely going to go through everything because this song really definitely hit me, and not just because the song is amazing, but also this fits very well with the type of music that I listen to, from Korean musicians and things like
Mm.
that. So I'm super excited to just add this to my rotation. So yeah, I'm going to check everything out from here for sure.
Share with me the songs that you like. Yeah,
Okay.
she has A Story That Will Turn Into a Poem, When the
Yeah.
Magnolia Blooms, A
Yeah.
Fairy Tale. They're all these like
Yeah.
really beautiful
Yeah.
sounding album titles. Her
Yeah.
most recent release is Falling in Love is Like the Spring Rain,
Yeah.
Parting is Like the Winter Rain,
Right.
which is a very long title and also
Yeah.
reminds me of like early Panic at the
Yeah.
Disco, but
Yeah.
make it like a K ballad.
Right.
That was released in late April, April 26th of this
Mhm.
year. So she's definitely still releasing stuff. There's a lot to
Yeah.
listen to, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
All right. Are we going to the next one?
Next song.
All right.